welcome one and all. And a few things I want to talk about here. You know, I was reading the news today, and let me see if I have this story. I read this story a couple hours ago. Let me see if I can find this story. I think if not, I'll just do it off the top of my head, but I think I tweeted it. Let me see, but I may not have tweeted it. There's quite a few things I got to talk about here on the program today, and I'll have a podcast tonight you will not want to miss because there's a lot of things I'm going to cover on that. Let's see here. No, I did not tweet this particular article, but I'll just do it off the top of my head in a minute. An article I saw out of Asia that I want to talk about in a minute. One thing that really has me pissed off is this photograph of Trump, the black and white one that came out with this latest release from the Democrats with the Epstein files, with all the girls with, you know, boxes over their face. And they released that, and the media are telling us that's Trump with underage girls. Now, of course, we know it's not, that it's Trump with models in their 20s, I think, what was it, Hawaiian tropic models that were doing a sun tan lotion model shoot at Mar-a-Lago years ago, you know, and they put that out with the boxes over their face to imply one of the most terrible things you can say about a man. That is, it's just so freaking disgusting. And the media, come on. You know, and I mean, you know, the Trump derangement syndrome suffering news people, to think that if excuse me, guys, let me have a drink. My throat's a little parched. Not that coffee will help with that. Sorry, guys, I'm choking on the liberal bullcrap in the media. But if you look at that photograph with the boxes over. First off, who would take a picture, especially an internationally famous man, because Trump was always famous, with his arms around a bunch of underage girls? I mean, who would do such a thing? I mean, you know, come on. Dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. But we know they're Hawaiian tropic models. They're adults. And it was a photo shoot for a suntan lotion thing. They got another photograph of him with another woman who looks like she's in her 30s, but they put a box over her face so to create the illusion of scandal. These people in the media have no shame. They have no shame. And that's why President Trump is always pissed off at them when they're doing these press conferences. Why should he not be pissed off at them? Look at what they do to him with these photographs in particular that I'm talking about right now. Wouldn't you be pissed? You know, and I love how people say that he should be respectful of them. Look what they're doing to him. Slandering him like that, saying the worst things you could say about a man, right? I mean, it's disgusting. It is absolutely disgusting. And they even have exactly. They are the media are nothing but lowlives. And hey, Fluffy, I don't mind differing viewpoints, but don't spam. All right, I'll give you this one warning: don't spam. Yeah, see what I mean? Mexican guy in the chat. They flood our southern border. Now he's trying to invade our chat and spam it. I'll give him a few seconds because there's a delay. So let's see if he doesn't stop. Well, you know, we'll have to take action. But I don't mind differing viewpoints. You know, the photographs are just the tip of the iceberg, but it really shows you how fake the media are and how low life they are, right? It really truly does. I'm on my back porch here. Beautiful day here in Florida. See, Alexa, what's the temperature? It's 70 degrees right now. 70. Today's high will be 80 with a low of 66. Okay. It's 70 degrees right now with a high of 80 degrees. So that's wintertime weather here in South Florida. So the whole photograph thing just totally pisses me off. Just totally pisses me off. The other thing is, I wanted to talk about something I saw today in the news out of Japan. And I didn't realize this was a problem in Japan. But Japan, they had a big protest of Japanese people who were protesting against the Islamification of Japan. That there's been a massive move, a massive immigration wave of Muslims to Japan from various countries. Probably a lot from Indonesia. Indonesia is the largest Muslim population in the world. That's where Obama grew up, and it's a big. I didn't realize it was such a problem in Japan because I thought they, had a lot of really tight restrictions on things. But I was surprised to see that protest. That was the story I was looking for at the beginning. I didn't tweet that story, but I read it this morning. And so they've got this big problem with the Islamification of Japan, and then I was watching on YouTube a television show out of Australia, and I just watched a couple episodes of it, and it takes place at an airport, and it's the immigration officials at the airport in Australia. And they have a big problem with people smuggling things in and out of Australia. And it's a problem from Southeast Asian countries, right? Some of it's Indonesia, Singapore. There was one woman they caught from Singapore that was smuggling cigarettes in all these suitcases. And the reason she was smuggling cigarettes is to avoid the tax, right? And they said, now this is in Australian dollars, the taxes on the cigarettes that she was smuggling in all these suitcases, trying to get on an airplane with them, is over $20,000 in tax revenue. And, when I was looking at this story in Japan and this immigration story, this immigration TV show out of Australia, it's on YouTube. I don't know what it's called. Let me see if I can find it for you. Let's see. I can tell you the name of this immigration show. Hold on. Let me look here. And you can watch this show for yourself. They're on YouTube. It's an Australian show about the immigration workers at the Australian airport. It's called Border Security. It's called Border Security, and it's an Australian show. And the YouTube channel is called Border Security. So I don't know if they only have this show on there. Let me see. Or if it's a worldwide show. I don't know. It looks to be mainly this Australian show, but it's called Border Security, and you can find it's Border Security Official. All right. And well, I guess they have things from other countries too. But I watched a couple of episodes about people trying to smuggle into the airport, and then I realized with this story in Japan, this show I'm watching on YouTube from Australia, this border problem is not just a problem in the United States. We know the problem in Europe, okay? Europe has fallen. It's completely fallen. It's lost. It's not, they would not be able to save it, even if they wanted to, but they're so stupid that they welcome the invasion. But if you look at what's going on in Japan, this thing I'm talking about in Australia, in this country, this border issue is a problem in all the major countries of the world, because the United States, of course, we're the richest country in the world, the wealthiest country in the world, the largest economy in the world. But Japan and Australia are first world countries too, and are wealthy countries. Not as rich as we are, but they're wealthy countries. And any place that you have rich people, and we're rich, all of us are rich in the United States, Australia, and Japan by the standards of the third world. Anywhere you have rich people, you're going to have thieves, and what they do is they go to steal from the closest rich people they can, whether it's Japan, Australia, or if they're closer to us, the United States. Although we get people from further away than just the southern border. This is a worldwide problem, and it's not a new problem. It's been going on for a long time. But what they don't like is that President Trump is the first president to stand up and do something about these issues, right? You know, and President Trump is not anti-immigrant. His mother is from Scotland. He's a first-generation American, President Trump, on his mother's side. All of his children, except Tiffany, are all first-generation Americans on their mother's side because 2 of President Trump's 3 wives are from other countries, right? So, you know, to say that President Trump is anti-immigration is absurd, you know, and just the world is under attack. The Western world, the wealthy world, the first world countries are under attack. They've conquered Europe. Now they've set their sights on the United States, Australia, Japan, and God knows where else. I mean, there's not many first world places left in the world when you subtract Europe, the United States, Australia, and Japan. What's the rest of the first world? Not much out there. Welcome, everyone. Welcome from Maine. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. My name is Brian Craig, and this is where MAGA comes to talk. This is one of our, I don't know if you can see, one of our 3 Christmas trees. We have 2, that Christmas tree is white, and my wife put pink lights on it. And we have a Christmas tree here on our back porch. We have a Christmas tree in the living room, and then one in our master bedroom. And I was shocked to learn that this political correct, they don't call master bedrooms anymore. I just learned this a couple days ago. My wife was telling, I forgot what they call, what do they call master bedrooms now? Master is to, I guess, I don't know, the wokesters, something else they got to do away with, so stupid. That's what they do. I forgot what they call that now. Main bedroom. Give me a break. Main bedroom. That's so stupid. Master bedroom. It's the master bedroom. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, this is a gold MAGA hat. I don't wear this so much on the show because, you know, I use the green screen, and the green screen doesn't work well with this hat. But yeah, this is from the official Trump store, you know, so you know, it's made in the USA from the Trump store, and it's very high quality. It's a good one, but I like it. I don't wear this one too much. Mm-hmm. Did you guys? Oh, by the way, those of you that are Patreon supporters, I did a Patreon only live stream yesterday, but you had to catch it live. So, you know, the Patreon live streams are a little more personal, so I reveal things in them that I may not reveal elsewhere, so I don't keep those up all the time. But if you caught it live, you caught it live. If you didn't catch it live, well, I'm sorry, guys. But I'll do another one soon for Patreon supporters. Welcome, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, I have been up for about 4 hours. I've gotten so much work done. I love getting up early in the morning and working, just like President Trump. You know, not only is President Trump up right now, he's been up for a long time. You know, Susie Wiles, she had said, she did an interview, Susie Wiles. What did she, let me get this, I want to get her words exactly, because they were pretty good about President Trump and how hard he works. Let me find this. I'm sure I have it here. Yeah, listen to this. Okay, yeah, this is it. Hold on. This is Susie Wiles. She's talking about Trump and how hard he works.
Early with
how early?
7:45.
Okay.
With a security briefing.
Okay.
we take it. They wouldn't like to hear me say this, but we do. It's a data point. It's not necessarily what we operate from. It's what they've heard or overheard or seen in other parts of the world. And then my days are all the same: security briefing, senior staff meeting, and then an operations meeting. And then the day starts. The president works 24/7, as I think everybody
knows. I don't know when he
Does
sleeps.
he ever sleep? No.
He doesn't.
No. And when we travel, it's a killer because normal people do need to get sleep. But he doesn't.
And do you travel a lot with him?
I do. I don't go everywhere, but I'm a little bit selfish. Places I've never been, like Korea and Malaysia, I did go. I mean, it's work, but you still get to see a part of the world you might not ever otherwise see. But he sort of does phone calls and sometimes call in radio and all that stuff in the morning. And he'll come in mid-morning. So by the time he gets in, I better have done everything I needed to do for the day. And then it's a very long day. Meetings and some spontaneous conversations. And he usually finishes around 8, 9, and maybe earlier, 7 if he has a dinner, which he's busy most nights. And we stay there until he goes. And he's 25 paces down the hall from me, so I hear it when he's still there. And it's a long week, and I usually, work late on Friday and get all my work caught up, and then Saturday afternoons. But Sunday, no, church on Sunday and take the day, and then we start over on Monday. We start every day early with
How early?
7:45.
Okay.
With a
I can't get it to pause. Hold on.
Okay.
We take.
Okay. Isn't that amazing? I mean, she says he works 24/7. Who can keep up that pace? I mean, that's he's not a mortal man. That's it. He's just not. So that's one of the reasons I work crazy hours. If President Trump can do it, we all can do it, right? Exactly. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. This shirt, okay, a couple of people commented. This is, it's kind of a funny shirt for me to wear, right? Corner G in the rub, and I don't know if anybody knows what that's from. You might. I don't know. Does anybody know what that is? Corner G in the rub. See, I don't think anybody will know what that's from. If you're Canadian, you might. But I'll tell you in a minute if nobody gets it, because nobody's going to get it. Unless there's some Canadians that really know what it is. Yes, happy Sunday. But that's what, nobody will get what the shirt is for. No. But we've never had a president work this hard. The other presidents, they don't really work, other than Trump. They don't work. They do they're basically spokesmodels and figureheads. They're like the king or queen of England. They get briefed in the morning, and they do photo ops and an occasional press moment. We probably have not had a working president in the White House in our lifetime, any of us. And maybe there never has been a working president in the White House, certainly not like this, right? Yeah, I mean, he is a real working president. That's one of the many reasons the permanent Washington class hate him, because presidents aren't supposed to really run the country. The bureaucracy, they believe the bureaucracy is supposed to run the country. And because he's running it, they don't like it. They hate it because, they're supposed to tell the presidents what to do. Yeah, nobody's going to get what this shirt is. Any Canadians in the chat this morning? Sometimes we have Canadians, sometimes we don't. But what President Trump is doing is just fantastical in this second term. I mean, could you imagine if every president we had was competent? You look at the things he's doing, right? He's doing so much good work. And this photo, I was talking at the beginning of the stream, but I'll get into it again. They dropped these 2 photos. They say are from the Epstein files. And it's, well, I'm an American, buddy, but, this is from something that Canadians might know. They dropped that photograph of Trump with his arms around these, I don't know how many women that is, with boxes over their face, and then they say it's him with underage girls with Epstein. Give me a freaking break. So it's President Trump with Hawaiian Tropic models at Mar-a-Lago, who were at Mar-a-Lago doing a photo shoot for an advertisement for suntan lotion. But they put boxes over their face, and, and it creates the illusion of something inappropriate. Now, there's certain things that don't pass, Steve Kane has this term, I like it, that don't pass the smile test, all right? So this is what they expect people to believe. They have this photograph, boxes over the face. President Trump is with underage girls and he has his arms around all these underage girls, and he takes a photograph. Who takes photographs of themselves doing things that are illegal? I mean, especially when you're a worldwide famous person, which President Trump has always been his whole life, right? I mean, it's completely insane. Yeah, it is from a Canadian television show. That is true. The shirt is a reference from a Canadian television show. That is true. I mean, it just, who would do that? I mean, you would have to be the dumbest criminal in the world to here I am, with the, take pictures. You're going to rob a bank with no mask and take your picture while you're doing it too? I mean, come on. It doesn't pass the smile test. And then you find out they're Hawaiian tribe. I mean, how many, when you look at all of the things that they've said about Trump over the years, how many of them have turned out to be true? All the negative things. You know how many? Zero. Absolutely zero. They just make crap up. But they put the, you know what it's like with the boxes over the faces of the Hawaiian Tropic models with Trump? It's like, what was that show called? What was that show? I was never into it. What was that show about it was very popular. It was with the family. They kind of looked like rednecks. They lived like in the deep south. And they had bleeps all the time. It was kind of like but they were rich. What was that? As soon as somebody will know and tell me that. What was it called? Family. They were rich, but they looked like, Deliverance. And they always had these bleeps because they cuss so much. Duck Dynasty. Thank you very much. Duck Dynasty. In Duck Dynasty, one of the things that made that show so popular, Duck Dynasty, is all the bleeping, that their language was so bad. And then it turned out they weren't using any profanity, that they just put the bleeps in to make people think they were using profanity to make it more interesting. One of the family members came out and was really upset about it, right? Do you remember when that came out? So that's the same thing with this picture of Trump with the Duck Dynasty, yeah. This picture of Trump with the Hawaiian Tropic models, okay? Corner Gas, correct. Neil got it. This is from a show called Corner Gas, which I watch every night before bed. I watch a couple episodes of Corner Gas and fall asleep to it. It's free on YouTube. Corner Gas, that's right. I've seen all 6 seasons more times than I care to admit. I'm a big Corner Gas fan. Yeah. Even though the people that are in Corner Gas probably wouldn't like the fact that I like, they would not like the idea of a MAGA hat with a shirt about Corner Gas. They would not be happy. They're very liberal. They're very liberal. Well, screw them. I still like the show. I'll wear Corner Gas shirts with my MAGA gear all the time, just to piss them off, right? Right, Pepsi? Pepsi's on the back of the chair trying to reach the ceiling fan chain. He sees it dangling there. He wants it. You're going to fall, Coca-Cola. One of my cats, Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola and Pepsi. They're brothers from the same litter. Don't do it, Coca-Cola. Don't do it. You're not going to make that jump, buddy. Yeah. But, yeah, so, President Trump works 24 hours a day, according to Susie Wiles and everybody else. Remember Scott Bassett said the other day, he gets calls, it's like 1:45 in the morning, his phone rings, and it's Trump. And he wants to start calling European leaders because they're 5 hours ahead and they're up already. I'm like, what the, It's a strange world we're in. It's a strange world we're in. We have this first working president. If we had the next 5 presidents were half as competent as President Trump, could you imagine how great this country would be? You look at all this thievery and corruption that's going on. Like Stephen Miller was on Laura Ingraham this week, and he was talking about all the foreign aid and going and these illegals coming into the country and how they've been giving, the Washington establishment have been giving these NGOs, the non-governmental organizations, all this money, this big scam they have. Look at how many billions and billions we've learned that are being wasted and stolen and pillaged from our national treasury just this week, right? The $8 billion from the Somali fraud in Minnesota, a big Black Lives Matter financial scandal was uncovered this week. It's just endless amounts of money that they are just stealing from us, you know? And when President Trump's talking about eliminating the income tax, and all the opponents of President Trump say, well, how can we run the country without income tax? Well, how about stop the thievery that's going on, right, and corruption? Between that and the tariffs, we'll be fine. You know, I wonder how much of our tax money goes to just corruption, right? Like the average American taxpayer, how many dollars per American taxpayer goes to corruption? I'm gonna. Hold on a second. Answering a message here that somebody sent me. I try to answer as many DMs and things that you guys send me. Okay. All right. All right. Yeah, I try to answer DMs. It's hard, you know, because I get a lot. You know, sometimes my wife will say, "Brian, look, have you checked your DMs on Instagram? Go through your DMs," and I'll go through them. You know, but don't send me articles or I won't click links. You know, please, never. I will never click a link or articles. But you can tell me about something and I'll look it up. Welcome everyone. Make sure you subscribe if you are new. But you know, President Trump's done so many great things, but the reason we need another Trump in 2028, we need another Trump term, is when I was younger, I used to hear Republicans talk about this a lot, and I didn't realize how important it was. But it's so important are the federal judges. The federal judges are messing up everything. They're just messing up everything. You know, they're doing things that are illegal. They are making rulings that they don't have authority to make. And we need, you know, if you notice, the furthest back I've heard of any federal judges making any rulings in the last year are Clinton judges. Have you heard any judges from Bush 1 or Reagan? Are there any of those still around? It takes, you know, these are, you know, federal judges are lifetime appointments. Lifetime appointments. And we need maybe 5 more MAGA presidential terms to get good constitutionalists on the bench instead of these activists. You know, the thing about it is, you know, to become a federal judge, these are presidential appointments. So you have to be politically connected to get the appointment, right? To get nominated for a federal judgeship. So they are political by nature, but Republican judges on the federal benches, there's exceptions to everything, but, you know, as a rule of thumb, they are constitutionalists. They make rulings based on what the Constitution says, not what they want it to say. As opposed to these liberals who don't care because they got a lifetime appointment, they figure nothing's going to happen to them, and they think they're part of the legislative branch. But if we have 5 more MAGA presidential terms ahead of us, you know, and a third term with Trump, 2 with JD, you know, Marco, Pete Higgs, whoever, you know, we'll have so many federal judges on the bench. So Clinton made his first appointment in '93. So, you know, that kind of gives you the window of how much time we need to get these judges replaced, because Biden got a lot of judges in. You know, so it's 32 years of judges. Really, is it? No, it's 30, let's see, it's 33 years. Yeah. So, you know, so 5 or 6 more presidents that are MAGA, then we'll have the federal bench under control without radical activist judges. You know, and I just never realized how important federal judges were. And maybe that's because, you know, federal judges have never acted this way to, they're really part of a judicial insurrection against the President of the United States. It's a judicial coup is what it is. A judicial coup has been going on. Mm-hmm. And that's just the way of it. I mean, there's no getting around it. And the judicial coup will continue as long as there's Democrats on the bench. And you know, we do have some of the Bush judges. They're a problem too, because they're part of the Never Trumper movement. If you're new to my channel, make sure that you subscribe, everyone. It is treason. But you know, President Trump has so many things to take care of. They've got to prioritize. You know, this was Tom Homan. Let me play this. Hold on.
Put their lives in this country, lives in jeopardy every day when they wear that gun, put that cover on vest on.
Come on, Border Patrol.
If you want my career, I buried Border Patrol agents, I buried ICE agents. I'm begging the politicians, the governors, the mayors who constantly attack these men and women, please stop. I don't want to bury anybody else. It's not a joke. We're out there enforcing the laws. Not only I care about the safety of the men and women in uniform,
what he's doing is Tom Homan is calling on the left to stop encouraging acts of violence and resistance to these Border Patrol agents, ICE agents. You know, they're federal agents. And the Never Trumpers and the Democrats are putting their lives at risk by telling people to resist. I can't resist federal agents. That's a federal crime in itself. But, you know, you look at what happened, right? The guy that threw the sandwich, the sub at the Border Patrol agent, they let him go. The jury acquitted the guy. These are really sick people. Of course, we got this god awful event at Brown, and then there's this incident in Australia looks to be possibly anti-Semitic. Where this Jewish holiday celebration was attacked. I tell you, this is what the country is going through, and the world. You know, the world is going through what we're going through in this country. We just have a president who's taking it on, and they've got this video of this person of interest from Brown. This guy's walking with confidence. He's a complete lunatic. Yeah, at least 10 dead after mass shooting during Hanukkah event on Australia's Bondi Beach. That's just so sad. 10 people dead, 11 injured. So sad. New South Wales. Do we have anyone in Australia in the chat this morning? That's just so sad. It was a Hanukkah by the Sea celebration. Who the hell would attack something like that? It has to be an Islamic terror attack. You know, I was talking to a friend of mine Friday, and Jews are really scared. I mean, Jews are really scared what's going on in this country, in this world, with this rise of anti-Semitism. He's Jewish. His family are Jews, and Jews are really frightened. And he's the grandchild of Holocaust survivors, and this is how the Holocaust began. Was what's going on now in this country. I mean, if I were a Jew, I'd be terrified too. And the anti-Semitism that is rising and spreading. Never forget. It's too much of the world's forgotten, and who would have ever thought? You get a generation or two. I was watching, unrelated to the politics, I was watching this vlogger here in Florida, and he did this. He did a vlog in Miami Beach, and he put on, what's his name? Let me give you his name here. I'll get his name right. I'll give him a free plug. He's a YouTuber here. He's a Florida guy. I don't know him, but we live in the same area. Barefoot Vlogger. You can look him up on YouTube. And I don't know the guy, but I watch him on YouTube. Barefoot Vlogger. And he did this. You can look this one up. It's Barefoot Vlogger Miami Vice. Look this up. He did a YouTube video. It was from a couple years ago, and I just saw it. And he put on a Don Johnson Miami Vice suit, and he went to the filming locations of Miami Vice in Miami Beach. And it was really interesting because I was in high school then. I watched Miami Vice. Hey, Coca-Cola. And Miami Vice was one of the biggest television shows that has ever been on television. And it was on Friday nights, and it was still so popular. And this was before DVRs and everything. And I remember my first day of high school in 9th grade. Now, again, I'm in South Florida, right? So it took place here in Miami. So it was a big thing nationwide. And it was a whole phenomenon, a whole fashion phenomenon, music and everything else. Bruce Willis got his big break on it. And I remember my first day of high school in 9th grade, all the older kids on the first day were dressed like Don Johnson. It was crazy. So this guy, the Barefoot Vlogger here on YouTube, you can look it up, Barefoot Vlogger YouTube. I don't know him personally. I don't know if he's ever heard of me, although we're both live in the same area. So he puts on this Miami Vice suit, and he does a vlog in Miami Beach going to the filming locations of Miami Vice, and he even reenacts some of the scenes with his wife, and he did a very good job on it, and I got a kick out of it because I'm a big Miami Vice fan. And then he goes out on, he starts talking to people on the street about Miami Vice. They never heard of it. He says, "Who am I dressed like?" They don't know. Sonny Crockett, Miami Vice. They don't know what he's talking about when he talks about Miami Vice. And he's on Miami Beach at the filming locations. And these are not tourists. These are people that live here. And it blew my mind that these people that live in Miami and grew up in Miami, and many of them born in Miami, have never heard of Miami Vice. They don't know who Don Johnson is. They don't know who Sonny Crockett was or any of this stuff. And I was like, oh my goodness. Well, back to things that are more important. You go watch him, Barefoot Vlogger, Miami Vice. Search it. It'll come up. You got to get through the long montage in the beginning, but it's a good vlog. And this part's towards the end when he's questioning people. Well, a similar thing has happened with 9/11 and the Holocaust. Never forget. Who would have thought the Holocaust would have been forgotten, right? And after 9/11, never forget became a term connected to 9/11. We've got Zohan Mamdani is the mayor of New York. We've got a Muslim mayor elected to New York City, and there's the rise of anti-Semitism worldwide, not just in this country, but worldwide. And people have forgotten. You get a couple of generations. Miami Vice was 40 years ago, right? So, went off it was on till what, 1990, 89, 90? You get a couple of generations away from these things, and people forget in places that you would never think they would forget. Who would have thought they would have forgotten about 9/11 in New York City? Who would have thought they forgot about Miami Vice and Miami Beach? Who would have thought anyone would have forgotten about the Holocaust? And, what we really need, if Steven Spielberg's Schindler's List, right? If you, I bet you that the American education system has been so radicalized by this Obama generation of blue and green-haired school teachers that if you required Schindler's List to be shown in public schools, one, you would hear Holocaust denied like you've never heard before, and you would see teachers, even though they were ordered to show it, would refuse to show it because they believe it would be insensitive to the anti-Semites in their classrooms, and they would start denying the Holocaust. I just never thought I would see a day when 9/11 or the Holocaust was forgotten. Now, the Holocaust was before my time, but 9/11, remember, those of you that younger, well, I remember, Steve and I were on the air on 9/11, and back then, the radio show was 6 to 9, it was 6 to 10 then. So we were on the air when it happened, and then the show was over, and it was just a crazy feeling, when we got off the air at 9. But then there was this great American unity that went on, and and there were a couple things. First, immediately on 9/11, I remember driving home. See, you got to remember, on 9/11, we didn't know that what was going on yet. I mean, we knew about that it was Osama. That came out early, but we didn't know if the attack was over, right? And where else they would attack. So we got off the air at 10, and I went straight home, 10 a.m. My daughter was a baby, and, and my wife was home. And I remember even then, people were driving with their headlights on, because people in the road, they wanted to somehow express their emotion of how they were feeling about this event, and people were driving with their headlights on. And that went on for a few days, but then all of a sudden, people started getting these American flags for their cars. Remember these? And they came on a little plastic pole. It was a white pole with an American flag, and you could stick it in your window. You roll up the window, and it would hold in there, and people were driving around for about a year with these American flags on their window, right? And I would always, sometimes you'd forget, and you'd put your window down, you'd lose the flag, you'd have to go back and get it. Remember all that? And there was this, and with their headlights on. So there was this this is something that doesn't happen. I don't know of another time that this has happened in my lifetime. Now, maybe this was a similar thing when President Kennedy was killed, but that was before my time. But after 9/11, this country was unified like you wouldn't believe. And of course, the Democrats were always trying to divide, but the country came together. There were no Republicans, there were no Democrats. We came together, and then when we knew everything that had happened and it was over, we never forget 9/11. Never forget 9/11. And do the New York City police and fire departments still have the World Trade Centers on their patches from that cityscape of New York City? I wouldn't be surprised if that goes away, if it hasn't already, right? And 9/11 has been totally forgotten, just totally forgotten. And for a lot of reasons, but part of it is what we've been talking about with this wave of illegal immigration, where there's no assimilation into American culture. And, the generation of school teachers today are the Obama generation. They grew up under Obama. They're brainwashed, blue-haired weirdos who hate the country. And they don't want to teach about American culture or American history unless it's in a negative way, right? Like somehow we owe some debt to the world. And, you know, and we're seeing now a big pushback. That's why President Trump is doing this massive 250th 4th of July celebration in Washington, D.C. next year for the 4th of July. It's very important to do it, to get back, you know. And, you know, I remember the bicentennial in 1976. I was 5, but I remember it. And, you know, you got to understand, the Vietnam War ended in 1975, a year before, but there was still, with the bicentennial, the country came together after the whole Vietnam War protest era, after Watergate, you know, the fall of Saigon in 75, and then a year later we had the bicentennial, you know, and the country came together, and Trump's trying to do that. But the problem is we have too many millions of people that have been brought here that have not assimilated. Like this story I talked about, what the Democrats are doing is insane. The story I talked about on the podcast yesterday, that Sean Duffy found this out. 51% of the CDL licenses, those are the truck driver's license, that Hochul's given out in the state of New York are to illegals that aren't even supposed to have them, right? I mean, what the hell? You've got more than 50% of the CDL license holders in New York State are illegals, don't speak the language. What the hell? And I remember in the 90s, the Democrats, they were pushing so hard. They were doing two things in the 90s, and now we're seeing the repercussions of it. There was a big push to give driver's licenses to illegals. And if you oppose them on it, well, you don't want these people on the road without a license. They need to go pass a test and everything. Well, it seems they're on the road killing a lot of people. I mean, listen to this one. I just saw this. This is on my X. So let me pull this up. Let me pull this story up. This is in the Gateway Pundit. A reckless illegal alien truck driver who stole the life of a U.S. citizen has received a get-out-of-jail card despite his horrific act. Listen to this. As the Gateway Pundit reported, 25-year-old Kamalpreet Singh killed a 29-year-old father on the morning of December 11th after he crushed the victim's vehicle between two trucks while driving northbound on State Road 167. The victim was later identified as Robert B. Pearson of Bonnie Lake. Troopers said 3 vehicles were traveling in lane 1 when 2 of them stopped for traffic and a third failed to slow in time. According to the State Patrol, a 2020 Freightliner semi driven by this 24-year-old Kamalpreet Singh of Elk Grove, California, struck the rear of a blue 2010 Mazda 3 that had stopped behind a white Peterbilt truck. He overrode the back of the Mazda, pushed it under the rear of the Peterbilt. Troopers said the engine compartment of the Mazda caught fire after impact. The flames were quickly extinguished, but the young father was killed. He's the driver of the truck that caused the accident is an illegal, and he has a driver's license from California. He first entered the country illegally through Lukeville, Arizona in December 23. Who was president then? Right, the auto pen. And was released by Biden's Border Patrol. ICE placed a detainer on him with local law enforcement in King County. Now a judge has decided that he poses no threat to the public, and he's released him from the county jail. He's an illegal that's driving a semi-truck. He's got a driver's license that he's not legally allowed to have, that California gave him. He killed a young American father, and this liberal judge let him out of jail. What the hell? I mean, this is what's going on in this country, right? I mean, what is going on here? Why do liberals have this fetish with these illegals? And who would let a guy like that? He's in the country illegally. He illegally holds a driver's license, and he killed someone. And the judge lets him out. What the hell? She should have just released him into the custody of ICE, and they would handle it. But what is it about liberal? You kill someone, you don't just get you've got major criminal charges, right? You're in the country illegally. You hold a driver's license illegally. You're driving a vehicle unlicensed because you have an illegal driver's license, and you killed somebody. That sounds like enough to keep you in jail until the trial. Doesn't it to you? So what is it with these Democrats, with this fetish they have for illegals? Can someone answer that for me? I don't know what it is. I can't figure it out. That's why we need a third term of Trump. Right? We need a third term of Trump. I mean, how many we've known so many problems about the illegals, but how many Americans have been killed on the roads by illegals? And this thing about the trucks, to drive these semi-trucks, you have to be properly trained and highly skilled, and they're not. They're just giving them driver's licenses. It's bad. It's bad. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. My name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. I'll catch you next time.